As a survival games fan, for the first video of the new year, I wanted to share my top 10 survival games with you. In this video, I've listed games you can play for hundreds of hours without getting bored, whether you prefer online or offline experiences. If you enjoy the video, you can support the channel by liking it and leaving a comment. And without dragging this out any longer, let's take a look at the best survival games you can play in the first half of 2026 on Android and iOS. Number 10. I have a soft spot for Radiation Island because it was one of the first mobile games that truly felt like a console open-world experience. Even in 2026, the atmosphere here is unmatched. You get stranded in an alternate reality thanks to the Philadelphia experiment, and suddenly you're fighting off zombies, bears, and crocodiles while trying to figure out what happened. The survival mechanics are brutal but fair. You have to manage hunger, craft weapons, and build shelter before night falls, because that's when things get properly scary. Graphically, the typical games did an incredible job. The lighting effects during sunset are still some of the best I've seen. If you want an offline survival game with a mysterious sci-fi story that doesn't hold your hand, this is still a must-play. Number 9. Undawn is developed by the same team behind PUBG Mobile, so the gunplay feels incredibly snappy and satisfying right from the start. You have this huge open world to explore, motorcycles to ride, and a surprisingly deep base-building system. You are not just punching trees, you are managing hunger, hydration, and even your character's hygiene. Plus, yes, Trey Jones is literally played by Will Smith, which is still one of the most random but cool cameos I have seen in a mobile game. Since it is an online MMO, you are going to see other players running around everywhere, which makes the world feel alive, but also means you need a stable internet connection. The UI can get a bit cluttered with all the menus and daily tasks, which is standard for these types of games. But if you want something that looks gorgeous and offers hundreds of hours of content without costing a dime, this is it. Number 8. Earth Revival is one of those survival games that takes a more sci-fi direction, and I've got to say, the visuals and combat really stand out. There's something really cool about mixing survival gameplay with high-tech weapons and alien threats. That said, the story didn't really click with me, and the endgame content kind of lost me. Also, like a lot of mobile games these days, it does lean a bit into the pay-to-win territory, which is always a letdown. Still, despite those flaws, Earth Revival is a pretty solid sci-fi survival game that looks great and plays well. Number 7. Life After is an older survival game, but I recently downloaded it again out of curiosity, and man, it still holds up. The atmosphere, graphics, and massive open world are still really impressive, even by today's standards. It's the kind of game that pulls you in and makes you want to keep exploring, crafting, and surviving. Yeah, the controls and animations feel a bit clunky at times, but that's expected with a game this old. Still, after playing it again for about a week, I can say it's absolutely worth revisiting. If you've never played it or haven't touched it in years like me, give it another shot. You might get hooked again. Number 6. CrisisX isn't out globally yet, but if you're on Android, you might be able to snag the beta access depending on your region. It's shaping up to be a massive open-world survival game, and honestly, the scale here is impressive. You've got a huge map to explore, scavenging for food, crafting weapons, and building your own shelter while fending off zombies and other players. I played around with the early build, and while it's demanding on your phone, the visuals are top tier for mobile. Just keep in mind, since it's not fully released, you might run into some bugs or server wipes, but it's definitely one to keep on your radar for 2026 if you can't play it now. Number 5. As a massive Jurassic Park fan, Ark Ultimate Mobile Edition is just pure fun for me. There's nothing like running around a prehistoric world, fighting, taming, and feeding dinosaurs. It never gets old. This new Ultimate Edition really brings a ton of extra content, and the graphics are impressive for mobile. Only downside is, if you're on a low-end device, you might struggle a bit. This game is heavy, and it needs some real horsepower to run smoothly. But if your phone can handle it, you're in for a survival game that's epic in both scale and style. Number 4. I've played Once Human on both PC and mobile, and let me tell you, it's a seriously good survival game no matter where you play it. There's just so much to do. Tons of content, solid PvE, competitive PvP, and honestly, it doesn't feel pay to win, which is rare these days. In my opinion, Once Human is one of the better balanced survival games out there, and it plays great even on mobile. Definitely give it a try if you're into deep, grindy survival worlds that actually respect your time. Number 3. I usually hate survival games where I starve to death every 5 minutes just because I forgot to eat a berry. Dysmantle isn't like that at all. You wake up in a post-apocalyptic world, grab a crowbar, and start smashing. At first, you're just taking out fences and toilets for scrap metal, but the magic happens when you upgrade. You take that scrap, craft better tools, and suddenly you're tearing down brick walls and cars. Unlike other games where you're constantly stressed, here you're the one in control. You do have to fight off these infected ex-humans, but the survival elements are chill. You cook food to get permanent stat upgrades or buffs. Plus, the map is absolutely massive. You can sink dozens of hours into just exploring and inventing new tech. If you want to turn your brain off, listen to a podcast, and break everything in sight without paying for therapy, this is arguably the best way to do it on your phone. Number 2. We have been asking for this for years, and after playing the closed beta that just wrapped up in December, I can tell you, Level Infinite and Face Punch are actually pulling it off. This isn't some watered-down survival clone. It is the brutal, unforgiving Rust experience we know, squeezed onto a phone. You start naked on the beach with a rock and a torch. And yes, you will probably get taken out by a player with an AK within 10 minutes. They have translated the mechanics surprisingly well. The recoil control on touchscreens is tricky but fair. Of course, you are going to need a powerful device to run this without your phone melting, especially near big monuments like the oil rig. Since it is fresh off the beta, there are still some server desync issues, and optimization is a work in progress. But if you want the most hardcore PvP survival game in your pocket for 2026, this is the one to watch. Number 1. As a survival game fan, I played Subnautica on my PC back in the day, and after it released on mobile a couple of months ago, I'm still playing it on my phone without getting bored. That alone says a lot. The core experience is pretty much intact. You crash, you explore, you slowly realize the ocean is both beautiful and terrifying. Even on mobile, that feeling of diving a bit too deep and hearing something you shouldn't is still there. Controls can feel awkward at first, especially crafting and inventory management, but once you adapt, it stops getting in the way. What I really like is that the game doesn't rush you. You explore because you're curious, not because a quest tells you to. Building your base, upgrading gear, and learning which areas to avoid early on makes the progression feel earned. It's not flawless, but for a mobile survival game, Subnautica delivers way more depth than I expected.